Half Size Me episode 653, brought to you by the amazing Half Size Me Academy. To join us, please go to halfsizeme.com/join. Hello, lovely listeners and watchers. This week, we are going to be getting to hear from a brand new candidate. Her name is Jackie. Jackie's going to share her story with you. And just as a recap, in case you missed last week, this is a very special month that we're in, the month of August. Each week this month, you are getting to meet a new candidate. These are people who filled out a survey so they could be selected for long-term coaching, 3 to 6 months, and not have to pay for coaching. But in lieu of payment, they're willing to share their journey with you. And it's, to me, it's priceless, because really, if I look back at all the emails I got from when Carolina's coaching went out, when Sarah's coaching, when people got to hear the ups and downs, the week to week, the things that were coming up for them in real time, that really was transformational for so many people. They've gotten so much benefit from listening to that, because we often romanticize, I think, what it's going to look like, and we have these expectations of ourselves. But what we forget is we're human. We're going to have stumbling moments, right? And that's what I think these coaching series are so amazing for, is that you get to watch the ups and downs, the small wins, the moments where they have setbacks. So I would encourage you, if you think you would be interested in voting the week of September the 9th for your favorite candidate, and if you want to get a chance to follow them through their entire journey, you would want to join the podcast premium. You would have access to every single episode, which at this point is 653 episodes. You would have access to Carolina's coaching series, Sarah's coaching series, and then whomever we get to pick in September. So anyway, all of that you can find at halfsizeme.com/fan. And then if you want to get to see Jackie and get to know her more intimately, you can also join my YouTube channel, where you can actually get to know these people more personally, because they came on for video. And you can just search Half Size Me on YouTube, subscribe, and that way you can also go through the videos if you want over the course of this month. All right, without any further ado, let's get to know Jackie, our next candidate, and I will be back with you next Monday. All right, lovely listeners and viewers, because we're recording this on video and audio today. We have the lovely Miss Jackie with us. She is one of our wonderful candidates that would like to be selected for long-term coaching. And Jackie, I would love for you to come on, say hello to everybody, and then give us some insight to your weight history, like when you can recall your weight maybe becoming a concern or worry for you, or if it maybe started more as body image issues, and just kind of bring us up to speed on what got you to want the coaching today that we're here talking about.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. So my weight problems go back as long as I can remember. I'm 49 now, and I think I was probably about 7 when I started growing and realizing that I was going to be taller than the rest of the sort of my grannies and my aunties and uncles and everyone. They were all quite sort of, 5'1", 5'2" ish. And then I was kind of getting taller, and spent a lot of time being told I was big boned, sort of heavy set, all of the sort of comments I've heard other people mention on podcasts before. Around the same time, I also suffered very badly from asthma. So I spent a lot of time in hospital. And of course, people were coming and visiting me with big bags of sweets and Maltesers, chocolate, and all sorts, Lucozade, which was very nice, but very sugary. And so at such a young age, I must have been 7 or 8. And I just, I know already that that's probably where I perceived that food equals love.
Right.
And I can kind of see that translating into my adult life now. I've got 2 beautiful daughters, aged 16 and 12, and the 16-year-old recently said to me, "Why do you never say no to us, Mum?" It's like whenever they ask for anything foodie, it's always, of course, whether it's a takeaway, whether it's a chocolate bar or sweets. And they're very fortunate; they don't carry any weight. They're sort of, perfectly healthy BMIs, healthy girls. But due to my kind of history with feeling very self-conscious. I've always had very low self-esteem and low self-confidence. Um, I think that food became my comfort. I then ended up going down the path of binge eating, and that's where my weight gain has come from. So I try really hard to kind of hide the binge eating from my girls. But they obviously do see me overeating, and
Right.
I don't want that for them. So I suppose that's where I'm at for now. Do you want me to?
No, that's perfect. So yeah, it sounds like a long history of trying to lose weight, based on various messages, creating
Yeah,
this deep relationship with food as comfort due to medical issues, which makes sense. And then at some point establishing a binge eating, which was, in your opinion, is the binge eating been due to, you think, restrictive diet attempts, or do you think that was just from trying to deal with things emotionally and maybe the rush and the high of doing that behavior? Like, what do you think?
absolutely both, completely
But
both, because I know that I'm so sorry. I'm just on the tail end of COVID, so I do
oh,
apologise if I give the odd cough to
no,
everybody.
no, totally fine.
um, but yes, I think emotionally wise, I definitely dealt with a lot. Our home, I had a lovely childhood, but my dad was very domineering, and so I do a lot to try and placate him and keep the peace and whatnot. And spent a lot of time, sort of heading into my teenage years, I spent a lot of time in my bedroom, kind of secretly eating and secretly keeping out of the way. So I know that had a lot to do with it. And I also know, like my mum, I'm 5'8", she's 5'2". Her, when she'd reach about 135 pounds, that would be her feeling very big, and she'd go on these diets. And I was 135 pounds by the time I was about 10, 'cause I'm just bigger. Um, and so I'd be thinking, oh gosh, I better do something. So
Mhm.
I'd crash diet. I tried, I don't know if you've had it in America, the cabbage soup diet.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Oh, that was worldwide then.
yeah,
um,
worldwide, even before the internet.
yeah, absolutely. I think I've still got the printout somewhere,
Oh,
actually.
that's so funny.
Um, Lovely recipe. But yes, I've done cabbage soup, I've done slim fast, I've done Cambridge diet. And then I don't know if this is relevant. I'm very interested to know your thoughts. But when I was pregnant with both of my daughters, I suffered from hyperemesis gravidarum, which is when you can't keep a morsel down, not even water or anything. So
Yeah.
I was hospitalized and put on a drip and things, and lost a huge amount of weight in a very
Mhm.
short. And I then got gestational diabetes, so couldn't
Wow.
eat all of the food that I would normally eat,
Yeah.
like all the rubbish food. So on both occasions, when I've had my babies, I've been lighter than I usually am. I'm 230 pounds currently. I probably most, like through my 20s, I was probably around 200 pound. That's
Mhm.
kind of a bit more comfortable for me. I am the higher end at the moment, but certainly when I was pregnant, I was right down.
Right.
I couldn't tell you in pounds. I haven't worked that one out, but I know in stone I was sort of 11 stone. I think that is about 150 pounds. So one of my well-meaning relatives actually said that I'm the only person they know that's fat when I'm not pregnant and skinny when I am.
That's so funny. I had a neighbor when when I was having my pregnancies, and she had her second. She had the exact same issue you do, and she literally could not keep anything down her entire pregnancy. And she said that she had that with her first as well,
Yeah.
and that when she would deliver, she would gain all of the weight back because she was kind of like making up for lost time. And plus, I'm sure she was extremely hungry, right? So, yeah, I have seen this actually happen in real life with somebody I know. And it is amazing because it's like they're super thin at the end of the pregnancy. And yeah, it's kind of a weird comparative to what we're used to, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So, and I quite agree with that about being hungry, because the first thing my husband brought me into the hospital after I'd given birth was some Ferrero Rocher, because I'd missed them so much.
Yes. Well, let me ask you this. So you have quite a history and you've got a lot you're contending with. If you were to share with the listeners, what is it you would hope to achieve during our 3 to 6 months of coaching time together if you were the one selected?
Oh my goodness, it would absolutely be a dream come true. And I don't mean that to sound tacky or cliche, but it's true, because I'm turning 50 next year, and I don't know if that's what's suddenly given me a bit of a wake up call that I just need to take better care of myself, for one thing, and also to just stop this constant putting down of myself. I am awful to me, and I just think that if it was possible that you were able to help me realize that I'm perfectly normal, my lower
Mhm.
brain, what all lower brains do, and that I do deserve to be comfortable in my own skin. I genuinely don't think I've ever felt that in my entire adult life. I think there's been days, like, my wedding day, I felt content, but there was still that element of, oh, if only I wasn't fat, if only I wasn't, and I wasn't at all fat then. I was by far at my one of my thinnest, but it was the feeling that I'm ugly. It's this feeling that I'm not good enough. I just want rid of that
Yeah.
once and for all. And I think I listened to a podcast actually about, because I'm also on the perimenopause, so I
Yeah.
listened to a podcast that helps with that. And they often refer to turning 50 as, and going through the menopause as your second act.
Yes.
And I would love to enter that second act liking me, because I'm
Yeah, no, it's a good one. That's a good one. And honestly, so right now, do you still struggle with binge eating, or do you feel like that's pretty well under control?
well, this is where I'll probably gush about you a bit, so I need to rein it in. But I, a sort of a bit of a backstory. As I say, with my 50th approaching, I knew I needed to do something, so I started doing a bit of Google research on podcasts that might help me.
Yeah.
Uh, I came across one. Am I allowed to say the name of another podcast?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's how I found out about you. We Only Look Thin.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. Okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
I started listening to it, and they mentioned your podcast,
Mhm.
um, and it was exactly what I was after. Just I got addicted. I suppose I could. Um,
A
I
different type of binging.
Exactly. I was like, gosh, I really do binge in every area of my life. But no, I binged so many episodes of the podcast. It was a matter of time before I then became a podcast premium member,
Mhm.
listened to Carolina's coaching
Oh,
series,
mhm.
absolutely loved it. What an incredible woman she is. And then I joined the academy. Um, and I have recently completed the weight management plan.
Awesome.
And so this is where my backstory ties in. The weight management plan is like, it's nothing I've done before.
Mhm.
It was so, I just felt free, listening to your videos. It's like you can read inside my head.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. No, that's great. So you finished the weight management plan. So at this point feel like your binging has decreased? Is that where you are with it?
Yeah. Sorry for going off
No, it's
track.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I started using the paper pencil journal, and that obviously then helped me, not intentionally actually, because
Mhm.
I thought, right, I'm just going to put down everything that I'd learned from what you've been telling Carolina and other listeners, to just put everything down, that I would normally have,
Yep.
uh, and I've realised that I don't necessarily want everything, or if I do, it's okay. Um, so I suppose people might be listening thinking, well, why does she want the coaching series then? But it's because it's helped me immensely with my binge eating. I think it's been about 3 months since I've started no, it must be a bit longer since I started the weight management plan. Um, but for me, achieving a reduction in the binging has just been mind blowing for me. I didn't think I'd ever be able to reduce that.
Yeah.
But now I find I'm starting to come up against this wall of, what do I do now? It's like, I guess it's quite common. I know I'm still overeating. I'm not
Right.
binging, I'm overeating. The weight isn't really moving, maybe a quarter of a pound a month.
Gotcha.
And I have a family holiday coming up this weekend, actually. So I need to get rid of my cold. Um, and I I know I've mentioned this in one of the groups that my lower brain is destroying me, quite literally, because I know I'm going to be the heaviest there. I know I'm going to be, well, I don't know, but I feel like I'm going to be a big blob around the pool, and I I feel physically sick even thinking of
Right.
getting, sort of being there. And it's only family; they all love me.
Sure.
But that's when I was like, right, okay, so I followed the plan. My binging is reducing, but I still have this voice that just won't leave me alone. And where do I go so that I don't want to feel hungry because I'm scared I'll start binging again.
Sure. 100%. Okay, so no, this is great. So what it sounds like to me is because honestly, you did everything in the right way, and I really appreciate that. You focused on your binge eating first. You made that the priority. Even if you started from the place of, "Oh, I'm gonna lose weight," at some point you switched gears and you're like, "No, let me focus on the binge eating." You made that the priority, which is exactly right because it's impossible to lose weight if you're binging on a pretty regular basis. And the fact that you've gotten it to where you have slowed weight gain down and even see very mild weight loss is a testament to the work you've done thus far because that won't happen if you're binge eating on a regular basis. So that's huge. So what it sounds like we want to do now is because I want you to start taking action on that very next thing that you were just talking about, that next step.
Uh-huh.
And I want us to talk about two scenarios. So, scenario A is, "Hey, Heather, on a weekly basis, I am seeing myself struggling with X. And if I could stop doing X, and it could be a habit, it could be a behavior, it could be something that mentally is going on for you, like your lower brain chatter that leads you down an unproductive path. But ultimately, X is getting in the way of you making more progress with your I'm assuming weight loss is what you kind of want to see happen now that the binging is starting to come to an end or at least ceasing a lot. So that would be us looking at a negative that you want to see go away. On the flip side, I want you to think about scenario B. Scenario B is, "Hey, Heather, on a weekly basis, when I do A, I find I do so much better. I'm like more in alignment with my goals. I am keeping, my focus on what I'm trying to do. The week just goes better, but I'm
Mhm.
not consistent with A. And I know that that's the issue, that if I could be more consistent with A, I could get so much further in my weight loss journey. So it's us identifying a negative that's happening on a weekly basis, and
Uh-huh.
it's us identifying a positive that, when consistently done, produces good results for you. So, kind of give me some insight as to what comes to mind for you for both scenario A and B.
I think scenario A is easy for me. I am so stressed. um, yeah, I don't want to get emotional, but
Sure.
it's been quite a year. We've had a lot of family bereavement. And my mum's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. My brother-in-law committed, or ex-brother-in-law actually, he committed suicide. I don't want to get too heavy, but it's just been relentless, and it's affected my daughters a lot, and so I've been sort of trying to carry them as well. I'm married, and my husband is so supportive too. But it's just been, I can't expect him to particularly help my mum, so I've sort of been her support. And my dad, he's her main carer, so I've been trying to support him. So it's
Mhm.
just this, I know I'm doing too much and I'm spreading myself too thin. And I know, sorry, did you say?
Oh, no, I'm letting you finish. No, you go.
Um, I know in the academy at the moment we're focusing on time management, which is very timely for me.
Mhm.
But I have a full time job as well, and it's just trying to kind of keep everybody happy. Make sure I sort of feel like I'm trying to be good in every area. So it's like I've got to be good at work, and I've got to support so and so and do this and do that. And I don't begrudge any of it, um, but I do know that I'm not putting me anywhere near first. So
Got it.
finding your academy and spending the time to do that has been a great help. But I don't feel I'm giving it as much attention as I should be. I'm not, the whole time we've been focusing on the time management, I haven't actually done any of that yet because
Yeah.
I feel guilty. The minute I sort of go to sit down and do something for me, it's like, oh no, I better take the dog for a walk, or I better put some washing on, or it's just this endless. I just never feel there's enough hours in the day.
Right. No, no, and that actually that feeds really good into A. So what I think I heard in I'm sorry, B, what I think I heard in A is what you're seeing on a weekly basis that's holding you back is mentally and time-wise, you're prioritizing all these other people that you love as opposed to yourself. So then the question becomes, B, the positive thing that if you're doing it consistently that helps you, what do you see is getting glossed over when it comes to, and we're just going to say anything food related, because if you want to lose weight, food is the thing that's going to move the needle. So what do you see is getting in is a habit or behavior that would be helpful, but maybe isn't getting done because of all the stress and the distraction?
I think spending a bit more time on my PPJ to actually look at the data properly rather than just. I spend probably 2 minutes in the morning. As soon as I get up, that's me. I do my 2 minutes. I write everything down that I think I'm going to eat. But then I don't, I do track it the next day, but I don't kind of go back to look at the data. And I'm wondering if maybe I should spend some time doing that, and then I could maybe make some tweaks to reduce the calories. But I'm aware that although I'm not binge eating, I think I do struggle with the difference between them all. But I think I'm comfort eating, maybe like the overeating.
Sure.
So I start getting scared as soon as I think of knocking something out of the
Sure.
I start getting the heebie-jeebies.
No, no, that's good. Okay, so let's do this then. So I hear a lot of good stuff in this that to your point, a lot of this is mental for sure because I heard you saying feeling a lot of guilt for doing those prioritizations. But on a more practical side, the at least doing a weekly check-in with yourself and reviewing the data could be really helpful. And keep in mind, if it's been a few months since you were binge eating, even if you're coasting at maintenance, while I know you may not love that, especially with having a family get together coming up, it's so much better to be maintaining where you are right this second than to be gaining another 5 or 10 pounds because you're stress eating and you're binge eating. Do you see what I mean? Okay.
Yeah,
So I just want to highlight that as a point of improvement for you. So right now, if I open up your Google Calendar, right, I see work is blocked out. I see you probably have events like you're going to go see your family.
yeah.
You got something like that. Right now, are your basic necessities on the calendar? Do you have your sleep time in there, your meal times in there, or any like self-care at all on the calendar?
Not a spot. No.
Okay. All right. So right now only stuff for work and family members are on the calendar. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay. So I want you to color code those. So when we get off the phone today, I want you to pick any color you want and make it work, okay? So it could
Yeah.
be yellow, right? Anything work related is yellow. And then I want you to pick a color that represents helping your family. So you mentioned your mom has Alzheimer's, so I'm sure you're spending time over there and it should be blocked out on your calendar when you're going to go see her, right? So you don't forget and so you don't schedule other things. So anything with family, helping your daughters, helping your mother, helping your father if he needs help, that should all be a different color. So let's just say it's purple, right?
Yeah,
And let's say that for you, basic care is blue. Right now, we would see no blue on the calendar. Is that correct?
yeah, definitely
Okay.
not.
All right. So let's break this down in a very thoughtful way. If one day your daughter stopped taking care of herself, she stopped feeding herself, she stopped sleeping, is she over 18 right now?
She's 16.
She's
One's
16.
16 and one's 12. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So if they just stop taking care of themselves, right? How are you going to make that happen? Like, how do you make somebody take care of themselves?
Oh my goodness. I suppose I'm thinking back to the latter end of last year because my oldest daughter did stop taking care of herself because she was in a not very happy place. And I guess it involved a lot of compassion, um, a lot of cuddles and chats and kind words and trying to get to the bottom of why she wasn't looking after herself. She was the opposite to me. She didn't eat. I comfort eat. If she's unhappy, she stops eating.
Yeah.
So it was encouragement to eat, and I was highlighting to her the importance of it, particularly at her age with periods and things. Um, so I guess it was, yeah, I guess it was. I don't know. It's very easy when you think of it when you're thinking of helping
Right.
someone else.
And here's the reason I asked you that question, 'cause one day in the near future, she'll be an adult, right? She'll be a legal adult.
Yeah.
And and you may wanna cuddle her and talk to her, but at the end of the day, if she chooses not to sleep, or if she chooses not to eat, or if she goes on an all-day drinking bender and she just treats her body like trash, is
Mm.
there anything you can do to stop that?
No.
No, no. So I want you to come back to this premise. It is our innate responsibility to be a good steward of the body you're given. Because as much as your daughters love you and they might want mom to get healthy, they want mom to be here for a really long time, they can't force you to do any of this. Like, in their mind, they might be thinking, "Oh, mom, come on, I want you to be here for a long time. Get healthy, take care of yourself, treat yourself good." But they can't do it for you, right? Your husband, he loves you. He wants you there. He can't do it. The only human being that can change the trajectory of your life is you. At the end of the day, it's you. I can help guide you and show you things you don't see right now, but you're the one that has to put the action in, right? Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason we're having this moment is because in all of this, it's like there's a great quote by Byron Katie. I don't know if you've ever checked out her stuff. She talks about doing the work. She says there's 3 kinds of work in the world. There's your work, there's their work, meaning somebody else's work, and there's God's work. And God's work is if we have a hurricane, you and I don't control that, right? It just happens. It's outside of our hands. But your work is feeding yourself, putting yourself to bed, managing your life. My work is doing the same thing for Heather, right? But you can't come into my work. Now in our world, we have falsely believed we can get people to do things, right? We spend a lot of our mental energy, "Oh, if I could just get my dad to do this thing with my mom because she's struggling with the Alzheimer's, his life would be so much better." Good
Uh,
luck with that, right? Good
yeah.
luck with that. Your dad's gonna do what makes sense to him to do. He's supposed to take care of himself, right? But if I look at your work, who's doing it? Who's taking care of you?
I just, this is embarrassing now when I know there's other people listening, but it's just, because you're hitting the nail on the head. It's very emotional, but I don't feel like I deserve it. Never have. I
But
don't.
what if you weren't here to hold and snuggle with your daughter when she stopped eating? And what if she had gotten a full-blown eating disorder because of it, but you weren't here to stop it because 'cause you're not here? See, your life is very important to those people who are around you. And if one day you what if you're hospitalized like your mom is and you can't be with them, you can't help them, you are needing their help. You're no longer there to assist. But if you take good care of yourself now and you can prolong your life, right? You can add quality. See, and this is where we get a little messed up in our head. We only see today. We say, well, today I got to put out this fire and this fire and this fire. I'm reacting, right? I'm reacting to life.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
the reality is why the calendar is so important is because it's saying, what do I want to do with my time intentionally?
Uh-huh.
What is important to me intentionally? And if mom's not eating well, if she's not getting sleep, if she's not going for the walk to de-stress, if she's not putting a little bit back in her cup, if a little bit of blue doesn't show up on her calendar, then really we're staving off the inevitable, which is one day you may not be here to be the support person you are for all these wonderful people. Does that make sense?
It does. And I've heard you say similar to other people, and it's never struck a chord quite so much. It's definitely different seeing you face to face.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so what we wanna do is we wanna block out for you basics. We're talking
Yeah,
the basic human hierarchy of needs, right?
yeah.
Meals, sleep, and then how are you managing stress? Because you got work, you got kids, you got that. Does going for a walk help you de-stress? Does listening to music? Like what helps you decompress a little bit?
Definitely listening to music and podcasts and things. That's definitely my de-stress
And when do
time
you typically do that?
when I'm walking the dog. So it's lovely. I love taking him out for a walk, but it's still that caring for somebody or something else
Mhm.
because you're still paying attention to the dog, aren't you? Particularly if it's on the beach and you're checking that he's not going after other dogs. And
Yeah, so would you like to go for a walk on the beach by yourself and listen to it? Is that what would be ideal for you?
that would be a dream. But I
Okay,
feel
so
hesitant and
sl
I
s
don't know why.
slow it down there. Alright, so when do you take the dog for a walk?
Well, I only take him like a couple of days a week because we've got a dog walker to
Ooh,
fit us as well. And then, so I sort of take him on a Tuesday and a Sunday. Are my
and
kind
that's
of
the only time you listen to the podcast?
no, I tend to play it while I'm working as well because I work from home quite often. So I'll pop it on then. And if I'm in the office, I'll walk in because it's only like a 30-minute walk. So I'll walk to work, and actually I do love that. But I'm only in the office probably twice a month.
G
Um, so I do, and then I'll put the pod when I'm supposed to be going to bed. I'll listen to a podcast then as well.
Sure. And where is the beach at from your place? How far away is the beach?
Oh, it's a 12-minute walk, a 2-minute drive. It's not far at all. So I just feel I'm making excuses to not be doing it when I hear myself saying this.
Right. So here's what we're gonna do. So every day, when do you start work?
I actually start really early. We look after a client in Japan, and it's different hours to us. So I
Mhm.
do actually start at 7 a.m., sort of between 6:30 and 7 a.m. And I've got into a terrible habit because I work from home. The alarm goes off, I roll out of bed and I'm log on.
Sure.
Spend my 2 minutes
Okay.
doing my PJ and then that's me.
Okay. And is what you're wearing something you could walk in, or would you need to change your clothes?
I'd need to change my clothes, yeah.
Okay.
Although I do anyway, because at 9 o'clock, well, 8:30, I go on the school run. So I always get changed. I have my shower and like
Okay.
I have from
And
work
so the school run, is that to go pick up your kids?
to drop them. So I do strange hours. I start at sort of half 6, 7ish. Then I finish at 8 o'clock to do the school run. And then I work again from 9 until 3 when I do the school pickup. So it's just so that I can drop them and pick them up. Um, so
Gotcha.
probably, yeah,
All right. So when and your boss knows that you leave to go take care of your kids, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. 'Cause instead of a lunch hour, so that basically is my lunch time kind of thing. The
And
eight,
then you
eight
just eat at your computer, your actual lunch. Is
yeah,
that right?
yeah.
Okay. So let's do this. What if we were to put a 15-minute walk in during that time? Because you're leaving your place that you live, you're getting dressed, you're taking your kids, I'm assuming in the car?
Yes, yes.
So what if you just parked at the beach, walked down the beach for a little bit, came back, and then came back to the house?
How have you just made that sound so simple?
Yeah, well, you're
That
already in the car, you're already dressed, right?
yeah, and
So
I passed the beach to get to school.
yeah, and anybody who lives remotely near a beach should take advantage of it,
Yeah,
right? So you should be taking advantage. So let's do that. Block that out on your Google Calendar. That when you go to take your kids to school, and this might just be 5 days a week, while they're going to school, might not be
yeah,
Saturday and Sunday, but I'd like you to get a 15-minute walk in. So what I would see you do is drop your kiddos off,
yep.
drive to the beach, park, get out, walk 7 minutes down, 7 minutes back. That's it. That's all I want you to do. Okay.
That's so simple. I feel silly for not thinking of it.
Well, and this goes back to, and this is honestly why coaching is helpful, because your mind won't let you see it. It's going to keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. You don't have time. You got to get back to your desk. You got to take the kids and do this. You got to walk the dog. You got to,
Yeah,
it's always going to do, it's regurgitating the same things over and over again. And so this is why I tell people, don't go to that thinking for something new and original. You're not
right.
going to get it. You have to have a conversation with another person to kind of start to activate that prefrontal cortex we've talked about. And in this conversation, you actually sometimes can create new ideas. Like you might come up with a new idea in the conversation because you're using your prefrontal cortex. But as long as you're deferring to your lower brain chatter, you will run your life the exact same way, never stop, nothing's ever gonna change because it doesn't have any new ideas. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It does actually. Yeah, because I know from your Thinking Leads to Eating series that that should. I'm surprised that I'm still expecting myself to
Yeah.
think of these, doesn't
You'll
it?
be waiting a long, long time, right? A long time. Because here's the thing, so in order for us to have that time to reflect on the paper pencil journal, we have to start putting time in. And your mind, and just please hear me on this.
Yeah,
We will get off the call today. Everything we said today sounds brilliant. You're loving it. But then when you go to drive home and that thing about the beach comes up, it might say to you, "But wait, you've got that project that's due. You really can't afford to spend 15 minutes." You're going to need to vocalize out loud and say, "No, Heather and I talked about this. I'm doing the 15-minute thing." Because what you're starting to do is create new neuro pathways where you start to, first off, do something you would enjoy during the week, right? But two, start seeing yourself as a priority, start seeing yourself as something that you have to take care of. See, that's really what's gotten lost in all this. You see, you take care of your mom, you see, you take care of your daughters, you probably take care of the dog. Somehow the responsibility of taking care of Jackie has fallen off the plate, but you're really your only responsibility at the end of the day. At some point, your girls will be adults and they aren't going to want mom taking care of them anymore. Not like that. And your husband, he takes care of himself. And your mom, I mean, she does the best she can, but she's taking care of herself and she has
yeah,
all these years, right? So Jackie is the one thing that actually is 100% your responsibility, and it's not getting addressed. Do you see that now?
I do. I do.
Okay. Now, when is the time of week you would have to take about 10 minutes to reflect on your paper pencil journal? Would it be Saturday, Sunday, Friday? Where do you see that fitting in?
Some days I think just sort of talking through with you, I'm realizing some. It's not like on a Sunday every minute of the day is blocked. Sundays are relaxing. You know, we do have a lovely time, and I'm thinking that would be the perfect day to block some time for myself and
Yeah.
reflect. The
Well,
day,
you're
yeah,
doing the 2 minutes in the morning, right? And so that's become a habit, right? You're doing 2 minutes to put it together. What if you just extended it that day and made it like 10 minutes, where you said, "Okay, on Sundays I take 10 minutes, I write out my plan for the day, but then
yeah,
I go back over the week and I just look at a couple things and I want you to write this down. I want you to look at what was my average calories, right? For the whole week. And then I want you to look at the amount of highlights you have. right? And just take an assessment of that. Because to your point earlier, that's probably more the emotional stress eating that's still happening, even though the binging has come way, way back down. And that could be an area just to take notice of, because what you might see in that, and this would be something to ask yourself, are all the foods that are highlighted in individual portions. So, for instance, let's just say nuts keep showing up. Are those nuts in
Mhm.
individual containers and you're grabbing one container and eating it? Or is it a big container that you keep putting your hand in and grabbing some? Because that could be a modification to help you do better at tracking portions and things like that. It could be crackers, candy, whatever. But are
Uh,
they in individual portions? And would you say right now all those foods are in individual portions?
Um, some are, but I'm not just having one. So, like a two finger Kit Kat, I would I'd have one with my morning coffee, and then I'd find myself having another one at lunchtime, and then I'd have another one in the afternoon. And because I've kind of got into that habit, I'm putting them on the paper
Mhm.
pencil journal. So
Sure.
I guess I could definitely look at dropping that to
Yeah.
two or
And you could also do an assessment of how many stars have I earned. So,
yeah,
for example, you've been putting it on there, but have you been rewarding yourself with stars for saying no to it? And could that maybe be a baby step? So what I heard is I have a Kit Kat at morning, afternoon, and dinner. Could maybe the one in the morning on occasion you say, "Hey, you know what? Today I think I could skip this and I'll just have it with lunch." Because right there, that could be an opportunity to earn a star,
yeah,
and it could be an opportunity for you to work a little bit on delayed gratification where you say, "Okay, I really do wanna lose some weight, but I don't wanna cut Kit Kats out completely. I'm not gonna do all or nothing, but I am gonna make a small improvement," right? Or maybe it's just having half of the Kit Kat. Maybe you're good with just having half at breakfast as opposed to the whole thing, right? That could be a different one.
that'll never happen.
Then maybe it's easier just to but and you don't even have to start there. It could be something else, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just using that as an example. But it sounds like right now you're not assessing the weekly calories, if I'm understanding it. You're probably not assessing the highlights for the week or the stars. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have my PPJ right here, and I do every day. As I'm going to bed, I track it all and lose it, and then I write down the calories on the top of the book. And if I've made, because after doing the first 2 weeks of the weight management plan, I established that my maintenance calories were around 2,800.
Okay.
Uh, but I don't eat less than 3,000 pretty much most days. It's not often. Um, and the weight isn't going up. So I think maybe I'm nearer 3,000. So as long as I sort of hit the 3,000 or slightly lower, I do give myself a star.
That's awesome.
Um, but then there's not many stars.
Yeah, and honestly, could I be honest with you? For
Yeah.
someone like you who's in the stressful period of life and you do see yourself using things like the Kit Kats for relief, if I was doing a food audit with you, I might look at things that aren't fun foods, like meaning you and I might say, okay, let's look at what you've been eating for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. And let's see if you might be willing to say, cut a half a cup of rice at a dinner. Or would you be willing to leave the cheese off your sandwich? Or would you be willing to maybe do one less egg in your omelet and just use egg whites instead? And what would happen? Because honestly, if you could bump it down to 2,800, if you've been hanging out around 3,000, just a 2 to 300 calorie difference could start moving you in the right direction, right? But if there's feeling like a resistance to cutting out, say, a Kit Kat or cutting out, another kind of enjoyable treat, I would start with things that you just put them on there because you always have, but they're nothing that excites you all that much. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you make porridge every day, but you could maybe make it with water instead of milk, like that might be another 100 calories, like little tweaks like that, that you might feel less resistance to, that
Definitely.
would be a good place to start.
There's one that's jumping out at me even as you speak. I have a protein bar in the
Yeah,
mornings, and that's like 220 odd calories. I like it, but I don't like it as much as my little two finger Kit Kat, and that's only
there
got
you
100.
go. There you
So
go.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
thank you. That's
Yeah, and
another.
that's what I'm saying. That's why we do these weekly audits and check-ins, because if you're seeing, okay, my average calories are 3,000. I got X amount of highlights. These are the foods that are getting highlighted, so they should all be in individual portions. So even if you go, "Oh, those are my husband's cashews." I don't even like cashews, but if I see them showing up on your journal, they should be in individual portions. Our minds play funny tricks on us. They're, "Well, that's not mine. I don't like that," but you're eating it, so it should be in individual portions. But then on the flip side, start looking at the things, and you can tell this, Jackie. I want you to always be honest with yourself. If I say something like, "Could you eat half the Kit Kat?" and you immediately feel your stomach tense and you're like, "Heck to the no, don't even talk to me about that," then there's resistance there. Do you
Yeah,
see what I mean? And you can feel it, like, feel it in your gut. If
yeah,
I say, "Leave, the protein bar out," and you're like, "Yeah, it's I could take it or leave it," that's the thing you lean into, because 200 calories is 200 calories. I don't
yeah,
care if it's coming from a protein bar or a cup of milk or a
yeah.
Kit Kat bar. As long as we're getting the 2 to 300 calories out, that's really all that matters. Do you see
Uh-huh.
that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I suppose I've got caught up in the trying to balance the protein and the carbs and whatnot, but I'm nowhere near ready for that yet.
Yeah, you gotta get the calories in check
Yeah,
first, start
yeah,
seeing progress, right?
yeah.
Then you say, "Okay, man, I'm noticing I'm really hungry at lunchtime. What am I eating for breakfast? Oh, wow, there's no protein in that meal. I'll start adding some protein." But that's more like, let's get the train rolling first before we start worrying about, like, how fast it's going or how efficient it is. Like, let's just get it moving. And the very most important thing you've done is cutting back on your binge eating. Like, the train doesn't even move. Heck, it's going backwards until that's taken care of. so at least now your train is sitting still, and it might be bumping forward just a hair every now and again, but at least it's not going backwards. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's the big thing.
Oh, absolutely. And it's something that I never thought would actually happen. So I'm so
Uh,
grateful to you for all your lessons on that because it's not something I've ever even, it's never entered my mind before. It's like, I'll just cut the binge eating out. It's going to be simple. And then
Yeah,
before you
it's never
binge again.
it never works that way, does
No,
it? Okay. All right. So tell me what our plan is moving forward now that we've had a
right,
chance to talk about this.
let me get my little list out. So we've already done our little sort of negative, what I'm struggling with that I'd
Mhm,
like it to go away, and my positive, what helps me feel in alignment with my goals.
mhm.
So I'm going to really think about them more after this call and get those down. And then I'm going to go for a 15-minute walk on the beach. Do
Yes.
you know, I'm excited.
During the work week, right?
Absolutely. I'm going to feel like I'm doing something naughty, like I should be working, but what my boss doesn't know. No, it's fine. It is my lunch hour,
Yeah.
early one. Yeah. So I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to look to reduce the foods that don't give me as much pleasure as the good old comfort foods do, and see if I can get down to that 2,800 calories for now to just maintain before I start stressing about getting even lower than that, so that the
Mhm.
weight coming off. So,
All
and
right.
I'm to try and be nice to me.
Well, and it starts with, and one thing I wanna make sure we didn't forget on your to-do list, your Google Calendar, right?
Oh yes,
So,
sorry. Yeah,
and I would like to see a picture of that posted in the academy because I know you're in there. So
yeah,
basically, remember, color coding, work,
yeah,
family, pick a
yeah.
different color for you, because in a perfect world, Jackie, what we would be moving toward is a little bit more balance,
Oh,
meaning that I don't look at your calendar and just see yellow and purple. I would see, maybe more yellow, and purple's definitely there, but I would definitely see more and more blue seeping into the calendar, which what that does is it gives you a good visual of your life to say, going back to, if Jackie is my responsibility because it's my body, my life, right? How much time am I devoting to maintaining her? And if I've got no blue on my calendar and blue represents Jackie's self care, well, then I got a problem, right? Because that's my job. and I'm not even doing it. so so that's how that visually can be very helpful for you to see it. And then the new additions to your Google Calendar that should be in blue if you choose blue for you, it should be your sleep, it should be your meals, it should be that 15-minute walk. It should be also extending your PPJ time on Sundays to
Yes.
where, and I'd block it out as such. So Sunday morning, if you normally do your PPJ journal at say 8 o'clock when you have breakfast, I would actually block out from 8 to 8:15 and say PPJ and weekly reflection. So that way that shows up as a separate appointment that you honor with yourself where you say, okay, how did this week go? What did my average calories work out to be? What were my highlights? What were my stars? What are the things I'm looking to make improvements to going into the next week? And then in the HSM Academy on Sunday, which this works out perfect for you, we do the weekly check-in
Yeah.
where that could be a great place for you to post how you're doing with all of this on a weekly basis. Okay.
Yeah. I've done a couple, but that lower brain is just saying you're failing because you're not losing the weight and no one wants to read it. And like you've been so helpful with your responses to that, it's, but then this Sunday I didn't do it again because the voice was so
Yeah,
loud.
and it
So
will always be there. And that's the thing I want you to see. It's not original, it's not creative, it's not offering you and here's a very simple thing, Jackie, I want you to start asking yourself, is what is being said to me helpful or compassionate? And if the answer is heck no, it's not helpful, it's not even offering you any constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is, yes, you're doing this, this, and this well, but here's where you could improve and here's how you could do it.
mhm.
If it was giving you that, then I'd say maybe listen to it because that would actually be helpful. But
Yeah.
if it's only like swatting you away and saying, "No, you there's no point in you posting this. You're not losing weight." Ask yourself, "How is this helping me?"
Yeah.
Because if you wouldn't tell your daughters what you're hearing in your head, like if they came to you and said, "Hey mom, I'm having a really hard problem losing weight, gaining weight, whatever." If what you hear up in here is not worthy to say to another human being, it's garbage, it's junk, it means nothing,
Okay.
because your prefrontal cortex would never let those words come out to somebody you care about. It just wouldn't. You would be like, "Oh my god, I would never say that to another person. Are you kidding me?" Because you're thinking about it. You're like, "That's obscene. I would never say that," right? But when it's happening in your head, you're not stepping in and saying, this is a no criticism." You either offer suggestions or something I can do that's positively going to move me forward, but just telling me I'm not worthy, just telling me that I'm stupid or incapable or whatever the message is. If it's not something you would say to a friend, it's coming from your lower brain. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay, because honestly, when I made that decision for myself, I said, "I will no longer entertain thoughts that I would not say to another human being. I will not allow myself to be treated in a way I wouldn't treat another person." It changed my whole life. Because up until that point, I was very much like you, Jackie. It was insults, it was criticisms, it was do drastic, drastic things because I needed to be punished for what I had done and I needed to make
Yeah.
amends for, and I got sick of that because it really wasn't helpful information. It wasn't doing anything. And so it like I talked to somebody else and they would offer me good suggestions, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. Why do other people do this and I don't do it for myself? It's because it's not me. It's my lower brain. It's not my higher brain.
But how did you cope with I mean, if you got any, but like negative comments, when people are a bit unkind, or if I just take, sometimes I don't know if it's my lower brain being overly sensitive about a comment someone might make, or if they are just being plain rude. I'm sort of trying to differentiate between that. But then my lower brain kind of grabs hold of it and says, see, you should have listened to me because you are exactly what you said you are.
Yeah, and do you have an example of one of these comments? Just so I have something to understand what context.
uh, Yeah, I suppose we had to put a photo up at work, for our like teams kind of photo,
Mhm.
and we were allowed to use one of our own. So I picked one I liked, and a lady I worked with said, "Oh, what did you pick that one for? You look a bit funny in that photo." But I thought I looked, considering I disliked myself so much, it was the
Mhm.
first time I'd kind of gone, "Oh, I thought it was quite a nice photo." So because she said that, I then went, "Ah, you were right all along. You are as ugly as you think." That kind of, I
Right.
won't go down that rabbit hole, but it wasn't. I just got myself in such a pickle, took the photo down, refused to put another photo up. I got very
No photo of Jackie here. So yeah, so
not
in that, here's how I take comments like that. First off, yes, some people have no social tact. But
yeah,
secondly, what I find is that often people are saying things that bother them. And what I mean by that is if she feels awkward about her own photo, right? That's where her thought process is. If she felt secure and comfortable with her picture, she probably would never have made a comment to you to
yeah,
begin with. It's kind of like when people know that you're trying to lose weight and they all want to ask questions about it, or they'll start their what I call confessional, where they'll be like, "Ah, I should be doing what you're doing, but I'm not." It it can go in various directions, but what I've basically come to the realization is people feel very everything is about them, first off. Let's just be clear. Whenever you say something or they see something, their brain, their lower brain, immediately goes into compare. It compares you to them. So if they see you're losing weight, they aren't like thinking, "Oh, good job for you." They're like, "Oh, yeah, I really should be doing that." Right. And it immediately goes into a story about them and how they're faltering or they're not doing everything. And very much I see this as being true for most people. And they'll just say things, but it's like it's not always about you. And we like to make and on the flip side, everything you hear, guess what your lower brain does? It makes it all about Jackie. So we're all living in these worlds where our brain hears the stuff, it makes it all about us. It makes the focus us. And whether it's us comparing us to somebody else, or and who knows, maybe she felt really crappy about her own photo and she wondered how somebody else might also be willing to put up a picture that they felt looked a certain way. Like they can't wrap their mind around that, right? Like it's in their mind everything has to look a certain way. And still it's an insecurity for her. It has nothing to do with you. Does that make sense?
yeah, it does, because she actually didn't even put a photo of herself up, so that is very telling.
And
Yeah,
that's exactly what I mean, like, she's looking at hers going, "Oh my god, I could never put this up," and then she sees you put up a photo, and she's like, "Oh, she didn't even think twice about putting up that photo. How did she do that?" Like, and then again, it goes into compare and despair. It's like, "She did it, why can't I do it?" And it's like, it's that verbalization often of lower brain thoughts is what it is. Like, she's hearing these thoughts in her own head and trying to make sense of them for herself.
yeah,
So that's kinda how I see that, but yeah, what I kind of have come to realize is everyone's really kind of thinking about themselves. And we want to believe we're the star of their thoughts and stories. We're not. They are. If that helps at all.
it really does. Thank you, and thank you for spending so much time talking to me.
Yeah. So is there anything you would like to say today to the voters? I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that you get lots of great votes, but is there anything you wanted to say before we wrapped up today?
Oh, thank you. I'd just like to say thank you so much for listening. I'm sorry if I rambled on a bit. Once I pop, I can't stop. And also, I hope I don't sound too nasally. I am just getting over a cold.
No, you sounded perfect.
Oh, thank
Awesome. Yes, thank you
you.
so much, Jackie, and I'm gonna wish you well, and definitely keep me posted in the academy, okay?
Absolutely. I'm off to go and do my, I was going to say Google Maps then. Sorry, my Google Calendar now. So,
Yes, and I can't wait to see you tag me. All right, my dear, you have a great rest of your day, okay?
you too. Thanks so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hey, thank you so much for sticking around to the very end. I hope you enjoyed this call with Jackie and you got a chance to get to know her as one of our coaching candidates. If you would like to vote and pick your very favorite candidate, we're going to be doing that the week of September 2nd. Please join us in the podcast premium subscription so you can vote. Just go to halfsizeme.com/fan.